Hey, here we go with some week 4 booms and busts. We're gonna be doing it with Tony, the professor, and Kyle. All right, guys, y'all ready to hop in some booms and busts for week 4?
Yeah, man.
Week 4 already. That's crazy. All right, guys, let's jump right into it. Tony, we're gonna start with you. Who's the first player you want to talk about?
First player I want to talk about, surprisingly, plays on going into week 3, what we would kind of arguably the worst offense in the National Football League.
Carolina, right? Carolina. Yeah. Okay.
You know, I was looking for Thielen to kind of reestablish the special connection that he has with Andy Dalton. And while we saw that beautiful touchdown catch he made, he also blew out his hamstring in the process. So my boom for this week is Diontae Johnson. And Diontae
I thought you were going to say Thielen's hamstring.
I would be a week too late on that one. But no, Diontae Johnson pulled in 14 targets, and that is exactly what you want from your receiver, is that target share. That's not going anywhere. You know, Andy Dalton definitely has a tendency to lock onto one receiver. We saw it in the past with Thielen. It looks like now we're going to find the same exact type of connection with Diontae Johnson. And I expect Carolina to be maybe playing catch up a lot this year, although they handed it to my Raiders on week 3. This is definitely a team that's going to be airing out the football, and Diontae Johnson is going to be a big receiver of that. I like him as a boom in week 4.
Yeah, I have to agree with this. We did think it would be Thielen, but now his absence is huge for Johnson. But that Cincinnati defense also, I don't think it's going to be able to contain Diontae Johnson here. Things could not have worked out better for Diontae Johnson's fantasy value. You know, everyone just low hopes with him going to Carolina, playing with Bryce Young. There's also Thielen there. And now Bryce Young's out of the picture. Now Thielen's out of the picture. Now it's just him with the Red Rocket. So it's looking pretty decent. So I like that.
Not to mention he avoided that Arthur Smith offense.
Ew.
So just one domino after the other. Yeah. Just ducking fate, right?
All right. All right, Kyle. Who do you want to talk about first?
I am going to talk about Mr. Zack Moss. He plays at Carolina this week. Speaking of Carolina, had a pretty good game Monday night against Washington. They still lost somehow to Washington, but eventually, I know everybody's expecting Chase Brown to eat into his production and stuff, and I do think Chase Brown's probably the better talent in that backfield overall. But right now, they seem to be really feeding the rock to Zack Moss. Carolina's a great matchup. Yeah, I think he does. I think he has another really good week this week.
Yeah, I think the matchup is great, but I like that he's receiving out of the backfield too. They're passing the ball, and that's some easy points in your PPR league. So
absolutely.
So just sign me up for those easy points. He doesn't even have to have good production off of them. Just throwing the rock, let it catch a couple, and you're getting some easy points. So I always love that situation.
You saw what the Bills did Monday night, putting points on the board. I think the Bengals try and do the same to Carolina this week. They got embarrassed by Washington. I think they come out with a vengeance, try to put some points up. I think Moss gets in the end zone at least once, maybe twice.
Bengals have to get something going. Just saying. Mm-hmm. So, all right, who's your next player then, Kyle? Let's keep with you there.
The next guy is going to be Mr. George Pickens. He's been doing okay, getting some decent targets. I think he went 7-for-7 on targets the last 3 weeks, if I remember right. But they're playing Indy this week, who just let the Bears go crazy. I know they're a run-first offense in Pittsburgh, but I think we really kind of see that breakout number one wide receiver on this team type of performance from Pickens finally this year for those people that drafted him and believed in him. So yeah, I'm loving me some George Pickens this week against Indy.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant on this one just because, I mean, Arthur Smith, I mean, you already mentioned Arthur Smith, right? But loving to run the ball, and Indy's run defense is absolutely atrocious as well. So I don't know. That could be maybe early he gets some usage, maybe kind of fades off late in the game. Hard to say, but I kind of have a feeling he scores this week. This is the defense to do it, and hopefully he kind of breaks out here too. But he's definitely the number one target on that offense, and should remain to be that. So
last week, Indy let Adunze break out. This week, it's Pickens.
All right, and Pickens is better than Adunze. Am I right?
I think I disagree with that.
I was thinking Tony was going to pop in there with that, but his eyebrows, I got it already. I'll take it. All right. Speaking of the Professor, who do you want to talk about now?
Let's go ahead and do my second boom guy we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. By the way, I was talking with Kyle off air, and I had Rachaad White as a sell coming out of week 1. And so kind of on that note, my boom for this week is Mr. Bucky Irving, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, we saw him last week kind of finally overtake Rachaad White on the depth chart. This week, Tampa Bay is coming back from off of this maybe this mini blowout at the hands of the Denver Broncos where they lost by 20 points. You know, they're going to come in looking for a big bounce back. I expect to see a heavy dose of Bucky Irving. And this Philadelphia Eagle run defense has been one of the worst in the league so far in 24. So I'm looking for Bucky Irving to carve them up a little bit. One thing I am curious to see is how involved they get him in the passing game.
Yep.
But kind of the game script, the way this game could work out, maybe lean a little bit on the run, ball control the clock. You know, Bucky Irving could have a little bit of a nice game this week. So I'm putting him down as my boom.
Nice. That Eagles defense has been pretty suspect, which is kind of surprising coming from an Eagles defense. Then I say that after they did much better against the Saints than the Dallas Cowboys, but they haven't been doing too great there. You mentioned the passing game there. Rachaad White did still get double the targets as Bucky Irving last game, but Bucky, as the main runner and the better pure runner there, still got 3 passes thrown to him. So that's still pretty decent. And again, those are easy points. You know, it's easier to catch 3 balls than it is to get 30 yards on the ground. So I like those easy points for sure. Kyle, let's pop back over to you real quick. What you got for me?
All right, I'm going to throw Mr. J.K. Dobbins out there. And it's both the same reasons he had a rough week last week. Justin Herbert injured, offense will struggle. And it's also a really tough matchup. Last week, Pitt can't run on them. And then Kansas City's been giving people a hard time on the ground too. So for both of those reasons, I'm steering clear of J.K. Dobbins this week.
Not a believer, huh? Not a believer of the Dobbins. Okay. I mean, I'm
not saying not overall. I'm just saying not this week.
I am surprised how he overtook that backfield after all the talk about Gus Bus this offseason, though. So yeah. Interesting dynamic going on there. All right, Tony, let's go right back over to you and talk about your next player.
I'm going to go with I've got 2 players to go. I've already given you my 2 booms, so this player is going to be a bust for me. I almost feel like this is a softball gimme because he's been a major disappointment through the first 3 weeks of.
You could be talking about one of 40 players right now, so I can't.
Very true. But I've been down. I got going back to my buy sells. I had as a sell coming out of week 1, Anthony Richardson. Very concerned about this passing game, just not a lot of volume, just doesn't look good. And so on that note, Michael Pittman really is my bust. And he may be, for me at least, unless we see something change in this offense, he's a guy almost you've got to leave on your bench for now. Additionally, they happen to draw a very, very tough matchup this week against that Steeler defense. So for me, if you own Pittman, I know you probably drafted him, depending on whether you went hero RB or you kind of took him in the third, fourth round, at least your wide receiver too. So it really hurts to have this guy sitting on your bench, but I just don't think he's startable.
I totally agree. It's been atrocious and very heartbreaking here. And the Steelers aren't the team you're just going to come out of your shell against, So it's tough. It really is sad. I don't know what else to say about that other than it's just really sad and really disappointing. If you're a Pittman owner at this point, you're hoping that Richardson just tries too hard and ends up getting hurt again. I mean, that's kind of what you're hoping for if you're a Pittman owner. Fantasy football makes us horrible people. Let's not even pretend that if you're a Pittman owner, you're like, maybe. So anyways, all right, Kyle, let's pop back over to you and tell us about your next, probably going to be a bust.
My last bust is DeAndre Swift. As if he wasn't already playing horribly.
We're talking about week 4 of the season.
And this is probably going forward. Like, not only was he already playing horribly and wasn't efficient, but he's losing touches now to Roschon Johnson, who got 5 less carries than him, but still have more yards, 1 more target than him, 2 more receptions off those targets. Like, Roschon Johnson is a legit threat to his job. Plus, the matchup against the Rams is not great either. The Rams been pretty tough to run on. I mean, they kept Jordan Mason out of the end zone last week, so he still got some yards. But, DeAndre Swift is just not that guy anymore.
Yeah, I think this offseason when Swift went to the Bears and everyone went, that's weird. And
I was intrigued, but then, yeah.
Well, it was confusion and intrigue at the same time. Thinking about all the weapons that the Bears offense seemed to be collecting, and you were kind of curious on what that offense was going to be like, kind of start buying up on the hype of like, okay, they're getting Caleb Williams, they're getting Keenan Allen, they got DeAndre Swift. What is this going to look like, Adunze and stuff? And at this point, it's looking like a giant flop. So as many question marks that were around it, now it's looking like a backfield that for the most part, I'm just avoiding until it works itself out. But right now it looks like to be favoring Roschon Johnson more so than DeAndre Swift. So, yeah, not looking good for old Swifty there.
No, I hope everybody went out and, claimed Roschon if he's on your waivers this week.
Yep.
Just to kind of sit back, and see what happens, see what unfolds.
Yep, agree. All right, Tony, bring us home, baby. Who's your last one?
It's going to be maybe not much of a shock. But is there any team that well, maybe this is not the right way to ask this question, but any team that is hurt more by losing their starting quarterback than the Miami Dolphin offense? I mean, they just
I can think of.
Really.
How you go from one of, if not the league's best offense to the league's worst. I don't know who's starting at quarterback this week. If you got Skylar Thompson coming back from the ribs, Tim Boyle, Huntley, but it's clear that this offense just does not operate the same way without Tua. I'm still just shocked that they did not have another plan in place considering Tua's injury history.
Yeah.
And you're not going to like that I do this because, you want specific players. And I'm going to say Tyreek Hill, but I don't know that you can start any of the Dolphin receivers based on what we saw last week. And there's really very little hope moving forward unless we have some clarity on what's going to happen at the quarterback position. You drafted Tyreek Hill. You took him in the first round, probably in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going up this week against Ladarius Sneed, who has been a shutdown corner. Week 1, shut down DJ Moore, less than 40 yards. Week 2, he played Garrett Wilson, shut Garrett Wilson down. Tyreek Hill. It's not that Tyreek Hill doesn't have the skill set. It's that they don't have anybody to throw the football there. So I'm almost concerned about Devon Achane in this offense, because defenses are obviously going to be kind of dialed in on taking him out of the game plan. But Tyreek Hill is my bust of the week.
Even Carolina's offense is better than them right now.
Well, I mean, better backup plan at quarterback.
Exactly. How do you not? Last year, Cleveland Browns, Joe Flacco to the moon. Andy Dalton looks like the second coming of Joe Montana. How they don't have a solid number 2 quarterback in Miami is beyond me.
Yeah, it's like they were like, oh, I mean, just because he's got 9 concussions so far, that 10th one won't ever happen. Like, what are you doing?
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, especially after what we saw on Sunday.
Yep.
Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, there were guys out there in the offseason. They could have gotten any one of them.
Yep. This doesn't make any sense. Well, that's going to be a big old bummer to wrap this show up, but that's what we're here for, right? Tell you your booms and definitely your busts. So be ready to be disappointed by the Miami Dolphins offense again this week. You heard it here first.
CTE is a major bust.
All right, guys, good luck in week 4. We know it's been a difficult season so far, but keep at it. It's still early, and you still got a chance. See you next week.
Keep them chins up.
Thanks, guys.
We are here. We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.